In our most recent video, I asked the question of who had the best sprinting form ever and ranked the top 20 male athletes who I thought demonstrated the most impressive technique. As some people pointed out, there have been a number of female sprinters who've executed near perfect sprinting form, so in this video I'll be taking a look at the 15 female athletes who I consider to have the most impressive technique ever. At number 15 we have Allyson Felix. Known more as a 200 and 400 meter sprinter, Felix didn't give the same amount of championship focus to the 100 as she did to the longer sprint events, with her PB of 10.89 only being enough to finish in 5th place in the 2012 Olympic final. However, she ran sub-11 6 times, and her form warrants her a place on this list. She carried over her elegant running style from the longer sprints to the 100 meters, as she looked like she was gliding down the track, with her distinctive looking leg motion coming as a result of her particularly long femurs. At number 14 we have Tiana Bartoletta. Bartoletta has a personal best of 10.78 which she ran in the 2016 US Olympic trials, and we see her here in the blue uniform getting off to a good start and eventually finishing second in this race. She maintains a very steady looking form with a straight back posture and keeps her legs pumping straight forward with very little sidewards movement. At number 13 we have Kellyanne Baptiste. Baptiste has a PB of 10.86, and when we watch her ease to a sub-11 clocking in the heats of the London Olympics, we see she holds her core very strong and has a stiff leg on touchdown, and all round just looks a lot more sturdy than most of the athletes she's competing against. When Baptiste faced top opposition, she would sometimes lose some ground to them in the final 30 meters, as she appears to tighten up and perhaps keeps her form too stiff when she can feel someone is gaining ground on her towards the end of the race. At number 12 we have Veronica Campbell-Brown. Campbell-Brown had a distinctive running style, as she had a forward chest lean and very powerful lower body, giving the visual that force of pulling her forward down the track, particularly on slow motion replay. While she didn't implement the same aesthetic looking leg cycle as other athletes on this list, she did have a strong backwards leg swing propelling her forward with each ground contact. Campbell-Brown seen most of her championship success in the 200 meters with 2 Olympic golds and a World Champs gold, but she still has a 100 meter PB of 10.76 as well as 1 World Champs gold from 2007. At number 11 we have Dina Asher-Smith. Asher-Smith is a consistent sprinter who tends to execute her races close to her ideal model for every race. She runs with a slight forward chest lean, but she doesn't allow her form to break down before the line, and she looks more like a smooth runner than a powerful runner, and ran a time of 10.84 in the heats in Eugene while looking completely comfortable. This time is just 100 off her 10.83 PB that earned her a World Championship silver in 2019, which supports the idea that her relaxed style allows her to run her best times at major championships. At number 10 we have Muriel Ahure. Ahure is a powerful sprinter with a good start and strict form, but despite having a build that's usually associated with a strong start and weak finish, Ahure manages to hold her form all the way through the line, and because of this she's able to limit the amount of deceleration she faces. Ahure has a personal best of 10.78 and has ran under 11 seconds an impressive 19 times. At number 9 we have Kerron Stewart. Stewart was one of Jamaica's best ever female sprinters with a PB of 10.75, but she unfortunately never won a major individual gold, coming very close to catching Fraser Price at the line in 2009. Stewart had a solid start, but it was the final part of her race that was particularly strong, as we see her here pulling away from the rest of the field en route to her fastest ever time. Stewart's running style looks very efficient, with a clean arm swing and large leg cycle. At number 8 we have Christine Arron. Arron is sometimes overlooked when talking about the greats of women's sprinting, but she does hold the spot as the 9th fastest woman ever with her PB of 10.73, which made her the 3rd fastest woman ever in 1998. Arron holds the record for the fastest anchor leg split in the women's 4x100 meter relay, with her 9.67 split from the 1998 European Championship. The way she made up ground on the other athletes and still took the win with ease was remarkable, and her bouncy looking running form was a joy to watch. Her 100 meter personal best of 10.73 still stands as the European record today. At number 7 we have Sha'Carri Richardson. Richardson wouldn't be described as having textbook form, since her upper body isn't particularly strict, since she twists her torso slightly with each arm swing. She does however maintain a very straight back posture while her legs pump hard at a high frequency, and if I was to compare this motion to a male sprinter, I'd have to say she runs similarly to Tyson Gay in terms of her leg motion and back posture. Like Tyson, Sha'Carri isn't always the sharpest starter in the field, taking longer than most to accelerate, but when she does hit top speed, she has some of the best flowing form in the world. In terms of raw talent, she is up among the best female sprinters we've ever seen, but executing her race pattern consistently well will be what takes her into being a championship contender. At number 6 we have Irina Privalova. Privalova was an explosive sprinter who ran with a high knees leg cycle, and because of her explosiveness she had an exceptional first 60 meters and still holds the indoor 60 meter world record of 6.92. Privalova also had a 100 meter personal best of 10.77, and when she set this PB it made her the third fastest woman in history. In 5th place is Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce. Fraser-Pryce has such incredible sprinting ability that she was able to win world titles and run 10.7s with less than ideal form in some cases. In the early part of her career towards the end of her races, she would sometimes tilt her head way back with her chest leaning forward and a lack of body alignment upon foot touchdowns reaching for the line. Because of the gap she put on the rest of the field with her explosive start, her strategy to empty the tank early in the race and risk having her form break down towards the end didn't need to be scrutinised because she usually took the win when it came to major finals. In recent years however, Fraser-Pryce has made changes to her race execution that have allowed her to extend her acceleration phase for longer, and when she hits top speed, also maintain that speed for longer by holding her form. Fraser-Pryce now appears to have a much more controlled and relaxed motion during the final 30 meters, and with this development in her technique, she has been able to run in the 10.6 range consistently in the past 2 seasons. With the level of performances in the women's 100 meters in the past couple of years, Fraser-Pryce needed to stay on top of her game to continue her championship reign, and with the likely ambition she has to break the world record, she knew that every aspect of her race needed to be as efficient as it could possibly be. Because of the ease with which she's running fast times now, I think the development she has shown in her form will even help to prolong her career for longer and lighten the risk of injury. In 4th place is Carmelita Jeter. Jeter was a dominant force on the track, and her running form matched her persona as she ran with a lot of determination, adopting a strict and powerful looking technique. Jeter had a more muscular build than most female athletes, and to balance the power output from her lower body, she had a very strong arm swing, but it's possible that she was coming a fraction too far forward with her arms and could have shortened the range of motion slightly. Jeter didn't adopt a high knees running form, but it wasn't a necessity since the times she was able to run were reflective of the power output she had with her own specific technique. In 3rd place is Marion Jones. Jones used the drive phase to delay becoming fully upright until later into the race than her competitors, and because of how well she executed this drive phase, she was often leading the race from 40 meters. Once Jones entered into upright running, there was effectively no catching her, since she was also a dominant 200 meter sprinter, meaning there is no chance of her losing form before the finish line. Jones's running style was very satisfying to watch, as she looked extremely coordinated, with each leg cycle moving like clockwork, and her bouncy looking motion down the track was the definition of power sprinting. Jones was a versatile athlete, also competing in the long jump and 4x4 relays, and at 5'10" she had a level of strength that was very hard for other athletes to match. In 2nd place is Elaine Thompson-Herah. Elaine Thompson doesn't come out of the blocks at a particularly low angle, but she does have a very smooth and gradual transition to upright running that allows her to continue applying horizontal force to the ground longer than her competitors who become upright sooner. This allows her to hit her top speed later than most, and with her 200 meter capabilities, she's particularly good at holding that top speed through the line with minimal deceleration. When talking about her 10.54 race, Thompson said that she didn't feel like she ran that fast, and was shocked when she seen the time because of the phenomenon whereby running with correct form can make an athlete think that they aren't moving as fast as they could be, because they aren't encountering much resistance against their movements. Thompson has very little lateral movement and keeps her arms moving straight forward and back in a strict manner, meaning there's no wasted motion. When Thompson is fully fit and running to her max potential, it's hard to find any flaws with her technique, which is why the prospect of her running 10.4 at some point in her career isn't out of the question. In first place is Florence Griffith Joyner, widely regarded in the sprinting community as having the greatest form ever across both male and female sprinters. Flojo ran with a technique that hasn't been replicated 35 years later. Each sprinter runs with their own natural technique in accordance with their unique body structure, but Flojo seemed to transcend past her original instinctive running style into an objectively ideal and flawless style once she mastered her new technique. Flojo didn't have a drive phase and it wasn't popularized at the time, but because of how she could continue applying horizontal forces into the ground beyond her initial start, it wasn't something that would have been necessary for her. Flojo had a low decrease in ratio of force, meaning her ability to apply horizontal forces as the race progressed didn't decrease to the same extent as her competitors. This is a subject that deserves its own video, but it's certainly something worth examining with regards to how athletes differ in this respect. Despite having a thin frame, Flojo had a lot of strength throughout her body and held her core very steady when she ran with her legs moving directly in front of her. Something I'm sure you've heard of by now is that Flojo's ability to relax was what allowed her to maintain her top speed. Since she has said herself that relaxation was something her coach trained her on, which helped her to achieve her best ever times in her incredible 1988 season, I think it's safe to say that it had a key part to play in her developing possibly the most satisfying looking running form that the world has seen. Who else do you think could have made this list? Please leave your thoughts in the comments.